That's nothing new. That's just so generic. Easy, breezy, beautiful. Dandelion. Hello, Peopleverse. Sorry, my window. I'm gonna have the light shining upon me today. I've been blessed by the gods because they recognize that I'm a goddess. That's why. that makes no sense. Hi, I'm Savannah, and I'm reviewing Dandelion by Gabbie Hanna. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. We're going to be talking about this book, and I am pleasantly surprised, okay? I'm looking at my notes. We're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the confusing. The three, not emotions. Are they emotions? Feelings that I had towards this book. That's how I felt. I felt like this book follows, each poem follows into good, bad, or confusing for me. I usually have a tabbing system with my books. Green is for confusing, blue, sorry, I forgot what I was taught in preschool. Blue, it means I don't like it, and then pink means I do like it. So it's like, I think it's even across the board. Like, it's like equal parts confusing, bad, and good for me. But I overall have positive feelings. 3 stars. I don't know why I said I gave Adolescence 3 stars in my last review. I gave Adolescence like 2 stars. Don't know why I said 3. But anyway, my claim, my thesis statement, yes. Are you getting flashbacks from English? Are you getting flashbacks from history class in high school? Are you? I'm sorry. But my thesis statement is that Dandelion is a good, modern poetry book, but I still don't like it. And I think it's a good book because Gabbie Hanna, you surprised me. You surprised me. I saw growth as a creative in writing. Okay, I saw growth. Growth kind of goes with the dandelion. I saw growth. Okay? I'm very happy right now, okay? So we're going to talk about the good. This is way better than Adolescence. I already kind of said that. I saw creative growth, which we love to see, okay? We love to see someone grow in whatever outlet, whatever creative field, whatever field they're in, you know? We love to see growth. It's a narrative style of poetry. In Adolescence, I feel like she was playing around with different kinds of poetry. This is more narrative, which makes sense because she got her start on YouTube as a Storytime YouTuber, you know? So it makes sense that she chose a narrative style, and we get the longer poems in here, a lot less, or no, filler pages, and if there are, they're kind of sneaky, okay? I already said this in my previous review, gonna say it again. I wrote a poetry book. It's not out yet, because I have to redo all of the drawings, but, there's very, sneaky ways to do filler pages, and I feel like there were a couple of sneaky ones I saw you, like, where there are just, like, a drawing that, like, throughout this book, I don't really like it. There's just kind of dandelions, like, where, like this, like, in random poems that don't relate to dandelions. I get that the book is called Dandelion, but that's not the point, and I think some pages they just had like that little dandelion thing, and then the poem was on the next page. Is that a filler page? Maybe. It depends what your definition of filler page. So, you got a lot less of that. She was also more thoughtful with how she structured her poems. She used repetition, was very thoughtful with her rhyme scheme. Like, she seemed to have it was very structured, like the way she did a lot of her poems. Not all of them, but some of them were pretty structured. And there's also a good flow, like throughout this book. I don't know why I'm struggling with words. Throughout this book, you can tell like there's a flow. There's like there's another review that I saw where he said that like there was a stream of consciousness, right? I don't know if they want me to say who they are or not, because I know some people are weird about that. But I'll link the review down below. They talked about how it was like a stream of consciousness, and to me that has a lot to do with the flow. Like, even when the small poems, or captions, but poems, the small poems, even when they, like, were between longer poems, you can feel that this has more of a constant flow. Like, I don't feel the tone of the book isn't super jerky. Like, in Adolescence, it went from like 0 to 100 so fast, and I was like, we don't have that in here. At least not from what I saw. So I want to read a couple of the good poems, because I want to start off with the good. You know, I ended with the good last time. I want to start. My favorite, I think, out of the whole book is called, where is it? It's called Lunch. And it's like, it's really graphic, and I just feel, in like a good way, not in like a, like, gory way, or kinda in the gory way. So, okay. Lunch, this is what it looks like. Also, I hate this rat. This rat comes up repeatedly. I don't like this dude. He's on random pages saying random stuff, and I'm like, I don't care about you. And also, I don't like that he's just an old man rat with a cane. Like, why? Why? I don't understand. Why don't we have like a personified version of a dandelion? I feel like if you wanted to have like a character throughout your book, because I did that with my poetry book, I have a character that's like a personification of me or a person, and it relates to the title. You know, I'm not gonna say what it is, but like, I don't get why we didn't have like a personified dandelion, or maybe it's Gabbie, but like, maybe it's a dandelion with Gabbie's face, you know, and it's talking about, and then it's saying like this random stuff, you know what I mean? But then we just get a rat, like we just have a rat saying supposedly inspirational, very generic things throughout the book. And this rat dude, he just comes up at random times. There's a poem, and then you see rat dude with a speech bubble, and you're like, okay, I went off for a second. Alright, lunch. We sat together and ate our pizza as if everything was okay. We watched together as a bird hopped along with a beetle as its prey. We stared together as the violent bird ripped the beetle to shreds, his ferocious beak tearing away at the beetle's oozing head. We gawked together as the beetle tried to free herself from his beak. A fight to be free, the outcome bleak. I was grateful for the company. I wondered if the beetle understood the performance of dying. I was horrified. You were fascinated. Both of us fell silent. The empty shell of the beetle fell. The bird hopped away unfazed. We sat together and ate our pizza as if everything was okay. That's good! That's good! Like, Gabbie? What? Where was this before? We love to see growth. We love it, okay? And that's my favorite out of the whole book. And they're very nice. They're very nice. Wow, that was a weird comment. But, like, that was good! That was good! Like, I'm just, oh man, my ballot fell for voting. Darn it. Oh, I feel weird. I'm gonna put that there. Voting's important. Okay, you should vote. Anyway, so that's the good. That's my favorite poem. More papers fell. It's okay. Anyway, sorry. I'm really happy. Okay, I'm really happy because I'm glad to see someone, even though like I have very mixed feelings about Gabbie as a person, like I have very mixed feelings. I'm really happy to see someone grow creatively, because on YouTube, it's so hard to find people who take criticism, and Gabbie doesn't do a good job with taking criticism, but she's grown. Like in her music and in her poetry, she's grown. I don't know, I would say the opposite for YouTube. I think she's declined, you know? But I'm not gonna get into that. But I think as far as writing goes, like, that was good. Like, Lunch, that's a good poem to me, okay? And there's a lot like that in here that I'm not going to read all of them, but there are a lot like that, where they're kinda Breezy, I would say Breezy is like the kind of style. Some of them have more to them, and some of them have a lot less to them, but we're going to get into that. So now we're going to talk about the bad, alright? Not all the poems are poems. They are captions. You cannot convince me otherwise. And yes, I'm very aware that there's like that really short poem by Robert Frost. I'll put it up on the screen about like desire and frost and like the world will end in ice and fire. I'll put it right here. Like, I get that there's good poems that are really short. Like, I get it. Like, I understand, okay? I just don't... Some of these are just like one-liners or two-liners that don't really convey anything. They don't convey anything. You know what I mean? Like, they don't... It's very generic. It's very milk and honey, if you will. And they're not... Some of them just aren't... Some of the poems in here just aren't very deep when I think they're trying to be. They're very, like, vague. And there's, like, nothing explored beyond, like, the narrative. Like, as I said before, she has, like, a narrative style to her poetry. But, like, sometimes there's nothing beyond the narrative that I'm supposed to get from the poem. You know what I mean? And it's just kind of... It's boring. It's like, oh... Alright, and then I just move on to the next page, you know? Like, lunch, I like that. Like, we love that. So, I just feel like she points out things while rhyming, and she's like, poetry. Like, that's poetry. I'm pointing something out while rhyming. Poetry. It's not poetry, though. It's just, you're just pointing something out and then rhyming about it. Like, I don't know. I don't get it. And then also, it doesn't add any... Sorry if I heard it trick. It doesn't... This book doesn't really add anything new to the modern poetry genre. I can swap out a lot of these poems with poems from Milk and Honey and R.H. Sin, and you can't tell a difference. That's my issue with modern poetry in general. Modern poetry, to me, the reason why I don't like this book, even though I seem really excited about, like, the good ones, is because I love seeing people grow in the field that they want, and I think this is a good modern poetry book, but I do not like modern poetry. Even though I write a lot of modern poetry, I don't like modern poetry as a genre because of this vagueness, this, like, really stripped down poetry style, where it's just not, they kind of just lead you along. Like, it's kind of like a pop songs, right? They're so vague. Like, I love the colors of your eyes, I wish I could see you all the time. Like, we've heard that lyric so many times in songs. And it's kind of like that with modern poetry, where you can read it and get a lot of meaning out of it, but, like, you have to do the work of attaching meaning to it, whereas, I don't feel like poetry isn't supposed to be about, like, I'm going to give you vague puzzle pieces, or I'm going to kind of lead you along, and then you're going to attach your own memories, your own, like, you're supposed to, I'm not explaining this well, but they're so vague that you can attach whatever meaning you want. It's kind of like when, the theory that a lot of the plain girls that, like, very basic girls that have, like, no personality, like Bella in Twilight, or, I guess the Elle in The Kissing Booth, insert any female protagonist in a lot of teen, movies, where, like, they don't have a lot of personality to them, so we, like, attach our own personality and live, like, the movie vicariously through them. To me, that's kind of, like, what I'm trying to get at when I say, like, modern poetry is so vague that you have to attach, like, your own meaning to it. Whereas in with poetry in general, you're supposed to attach your own meaning to it. It's going to mean something different to you than to me, right? I'm going to associate it with my own experiences versus yours, right? However, there's a difference between that and then being so vague that, like, anyone can, like, attach whatever, and it's not just you associate this poem with your whatever feelings and memories about it. It's just that vague that it's like that. Do you see what I'm saying? I don't know how else to explain it that well, if I'm being honest. I'm going to read a couple of bad poems, okay? Alright, we got Decaf right here. Decaf. I put day-old coffee in a plastic travel cup because I can't ask the world for a latte today. Alright? That's not a poem! That's a caption. It's not a poem. It's not a poem. I can't, and that's okay to not have poems in your poetry book, but like, I guess, is it? I just don't like it. I don't like it. It's not witty. It's just like, it's just a statement. It's just a statement. Okay. Let me find another one for you. Oh, this one bugs me so much. It's called Mermaid. See the drawing, and then that's the poem. Mermaid, you built an ocean in the galaxy, and we swam in the universe, the sun and the moon in each of us. Okay? I can switch that out with so many other poems. That says nothing. That says nothing. That's nothing new. That's just that's so generic. I can go on Instagram and find that something similar to that in a million different, like, with backgrounds that have two people and they're looking at the stars. I can find so many like that. There's so many other ways of saying, like, she's basically like, you built an ocean in the galaxy and we swam in the universe, the sun and the moon in each of us. Like, there's other ways of, like, using that, using those visuals, but creating a different kind of poem. You know what I'm saying? Like, something that I haven't heard before, something creative, something unique. And now I'm going to talk about the confusing. I found a lot of these poems confusing. Date. Right here. Date. That was an awful. Can you see it? I think you can. Date. I'm really easygoing until I'm done pretending that I'm really easygoing. I don't know why I tabbed that as confusing. I just don't like that. I need to find an actually confusing one. Oh, community. It's called community. We got bacteria. And this, the singular bacteria is like, I'm depressed, and then the other side says we all are. I'm just like, okay? Like, okay? I don't know what else to say. I don't know. We also have this poem called Safety, and there's a sign that says work ahead, and then one that says under construction. And the work ahead sign's like, I'm sad. Then the other sign's like, why? And the work ahead sign's like, because I have nothing to be sad about. And I get that. I feel like the concept for this poem is that you feel safe being sad because that's what you know. I've experienced this. And then when you have something good going on, you feel like you don't want to be happy because you're kind of scared, because you don't, like, you're scared it's going to be taken away, and being sad is what you know. Right? I'm not going to get, I don't want to go on a tangent on that whole thing. But I feel like that's the very basic concept behind that exchange. It's not a poem, it's not a caption, it's an exchange between two things. You know? So, I'm just here like, alright, well, like, why didn't you just write a poem about how you feel safer being sad? Because this is just so, like, it gives me nothing. It gives me nothing. But I also, another good point is that, you see how, like, these are, like, things talking to each other? In adolescence, we didn't have that, whereas in this book, we have, like, things talking to each other, insects, bacteria, and people. Whereas before, it was just, like, people talking to each other, it was just their heads. And that's another thing that I thought, oh, she took it up a notch, and I appreciated that. I just don't like what they're saying to each other. And then there's also one thing that I had a problem with, and it was like, it's called Storytime, and it's Gabbie talking to a camera, because she's a YouTuber, you know. And Gabbie's like, sorry, that was a dumb story. And then the camera says, the only way it could be worse is if you didn't tell it. And I'm here like, when I read this, I'm trying to separate Gabbie Hanna, the YouTuber, from her writing so I can, like, be more not biased, right? But, like, when she puts that in there, it's hard because I'm like, I know enough about the drama to know that, like, that's not completely true, or there's a lot more to that than just two simple lines back and forth, right? Anyway. Okay, this is, future Savannah. I realized also with my, confusing point, I think there was a lot of times where, like, Gabbie was trying to, like, say something that's been said a lot of times before, but, like, she would reword it, so it would be, like, different, but the same, you know what I'm saying? And it just, no, it's not it, it's not it, no. Anyway, back to the video. I kind of mixed up my points, huh? This was gonna be so organized. I was going to do like the good, the bad, and the confusing. I kind of mixed them up a bit. It's fine. So my final thoughts. I kind of went fast today. I went fast. I'm happy that Gabbie is growing in her poetic craft, her poetic journey, whatever you want to call it. That's why this book makes me happy. However, I don't like it. And that mostly has to do with me not liking modern poetry. I don't like how brief the poems are. I don't like how vague they are. I don't like how the main subject matter is love. Like, there's other things to talk about. And not every single poem is about love, but, like, poetry books, especially, like, in modern poetry, no, not most, I'm going to rephrase that because I'm having a hard time. Modern poetry books mostly focus on romance. I don't know why. It's kind of like pop songs. Pop songs mainly focus on love. And it's just like, there are other things to write poetry about. And it's kind of like, it's kind of boring. You know, I pick up this book, it's about, a large part of it's about romance. I pick up Milk and Honey, it's mostly about romance. That's a bad example because it's about abuse. Bad example, I didn't say that. But you know what I mean, where like, R.H. Sin, it's about romance. And then there's another one by, there's a few other poetry books, by like Amanda Lovelace, a couple others I can't remember the name of. Like, they deal mostly with romance. Some of them deal with abusive relationships, and that's a whole other thing, because that's not really romance, that's just people being, awful human beings, right? But my point is that, like, I don't like how there's this huge emphasis on romantic relationships. That's a better way of putting it. I don't like how there's a huge emphasis on romantic relationships in modern poetry books. I don't like that. To me, it shows, like, lack of creativity. Like, there's a lack of substance to me when people do that. So, I just don't like that. I think this is a good modern poetry book. If you like modern poetry, go for it. I think it's better than Milk and Honey. I don't know, thanks for watching my video. Pretty breezy. I hope you liked it. Easy, breezy, beautiful. Dandelion. I'll tell you guys later. That's the trash. That's the, garbage truck or whatever, yeah. I can't speak. I've been working for a few days straight, and when I work for a few days straight, I stop being able to think anything outside of coffee. How to make coffee, right? Anyway, thank you so much for watching. It really does mean a lot to me. Thank you for all the new people here. That means a lot to me as well. Check out the reviews I have linked down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.